What is up, guys? This is DDP back with some more Mavs talk, and I am joined once again by my good friend, Big Game James. James, how you doing here?
What's up, big dog? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. It has been a hot minute since we jumped on here to talk some Mavericks, so wanted to bring you in on this Sunday. I know it's halftime, people. Relax. Consider it a game companion after the break.
Oh, my bad. Okay, there we go. Sorry.
Nightbot, what's up? Gle hitting the first thing. There we go. Dropping the link for the merchandise for the Dallas Prospect stuff. I dig it.
I like that.
Yup. See, that's how you can use the moderators to actually work out, and then it plugs the links for your stuff, whether it's your social media or merchandise, podcast, whatever.
Yeah.
Salute, Gle. Appreciate the support, as always. First in the house we had here was Abraham Young and Hype Emperor, who is very hype. Counted us down from 5 in the comments. I like that.
Yeah, I like that as well.
He was ready on that. He was waiting for the mic check. But let's see here. So I wonder how long. I feel like the last time we talked Mavs, it's been a minute. Like I said, when I was changing things out. Yeah, for this particular setup, when I was changing things out, it looked like the old thumbnail there was literally the first Knicks game this year. Wow. I don't want to bring that memory up. I'm just saying.
Wow.
That's about how long it's been. Been way too long, obviously busy with all our own stuff that we're working on. And me with school and all that's kind of put a damper in that as well. I've been doing a little bit less live streaming, but always good to get you on here to talk anything, Cowboys, Mavericks, whatever.
Right.
Let's see here. So the Mavericks are currently down 3 against Indiana. They've not shot great. Luka's doing pretty well, 7 of 13. KP is an absolute frigid 1 of 12 shooting.
Yeah, he's looking terrible.
And Hardaway Jr. is a whopping 3 of 10. So
that's what he does, though.
All things considered, we should feel pretty good being down just 3 against Indiana, considering those circumstances. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge here. The good news is, while we haven't run off any kind of long win streak this year, our best trait has been that we don't let losing streaks pile up. Like, if you look at the Rockets, the last couple days, they lost to the Hornets, to the Knicks. Now, they did lose to the Clippers in between those, but it's their third time this year having a losing streak of at least 3 games. One time they had a 4-game losing streak this year. Dallas is one of 2 teams to not have a single 3-game losing streak this season. So good momentum there, and while Houston is still ahead of Dallas in the ratings or the rankings, it's like a single game at this point. Like, they're right there, just a notch ahead of us. So not much separating there.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a pretty, like I said, the last time we talked was almost like the beginning of the season. So where you see right now, I think they were like around 4th place. I think when we talk now, they're in 7th. So every game right now pretty much is a playoff game. You get what I'm saying? So this right now is a playoff game. Biggest thing is we got to get healthy. Got to get healthy for this stretch run. A little bit of guys that are out, Brunson's out. That's the main thing that I'm hoping. And considering that some of the guys that are out, like Brunson, and playing bad as they are, as far as Hardaway Jr. and KP, and still, like I said, being in it, it's good because hopefully they can pull some out in the end. Because, like you said, they're right on Houston's trail, right on their heels, and that seeding can make a huge difference. Because right now they be playing the Clippers if they are in the 7th seed. So move up in the seed, you change who you play. So that could be helpful for the Mavericks later on down the line. So all the wins are important.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Mavericks have one of the weaker final stretches of the season at this point, one of the softest schedules left. We had a harder schedule earlier on in the year. Now is where you can reap those late benefits, and that is very good. I love the comments here talking about how Houston is getting their butts whipped again by the Magic. Somebody needs to do a wellness check on Eastside because he's been running his mouth in here all year.
Where you at, Eastside? Where you at, Eastside?
Yeah, if they lose again and Mavericks win, I'm pretty sure Mavericks move ahead of them at this point. It's a logjam between Houston, Oklahoma City, and Dallas at this point. So even though Dallas is 7, as you said, it doesn't take much to move forward. You just have to win basically on a night one of them loses right now, and you can move up that ladder a little bit. So
Houston ain't going nowhere, and Houston ain't doing nothing. You feel me? Like they're not going anywhere. That type of game that they play over there in Houston, hey, it's just not going to work. It's good. You got Harden doing this thing, whatever. They're just not going to win, and they're not going to win in these playoffs. If you know what I'm saying, it's just not going to happen. That type of style ain't going to win. So I ain't worried about them in the end.
yeah, it'll be interesting for sure because with their new experiment, it works great in the regular season.
That don't work in the playoffs.
Right, that's what I was going to say. I'll be curious to see what happens in the postseason when a team, it's not just like okay, we just played this game and now we're going to face the Rockets. We got like 2 days at best to prepare for them. No, now you got them for like 2 weeks in a playoff series and you have all this time to plan just for them and how to take them out of their game. So I'll be curious to see how that works. But, we'll have to see. They've obviously tried some things in recent years and didn't like what they were seeing through the first half of this year. Is it a gimmick that can work in a short term? Who knows? I still don't see them winning a championship with this, though, to your point.
They're not going to win no championship.
Yep. I mean, they're basically the Oklahoma City Thunder 2.0. They got Harden, right, Westbrook, Green, Thabo Cephalosha. Hell, even Tyson Chandler was originally traded to the Thunder before it was voided due to a failed physical. That was before he came to Dallas.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not really worried about no Houston, especially that type of ball playing in the playoffs, because it can work now because you're playing, like you said, you're playing different teams. You're playing different teams in the NBA. They don't see you every single day. They're not going to see you you're not playing them in a series. So you'll get away with that if you play against the Timberwolves or, Golden State Warriors. You'll get away with that. But you're going away and you're playing against a team in a 7-game series, 5-game, 7-game series, buddy. They're going to know you, and they're going to wear you down. That size is going to wear you down, especially if you're playing a big boy team in the playoffs. And, hell, they go against one of them teams that got some size. That's just not going to work, and it's not going to work against its coach and a team that understands that. So We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but moving on from Houston talk, yes, the Mavericks, even though they're in a close game right now, and it's not looking great through the first half. Again, considering how badly your numbers 2 and 3 guys have shot the ball, the fact that you're down 3 is nothing short of a blessing. This team has plenty of time to get going with KP. You just got to get him some easy buckets, whether it's getting him a couple shots around the rim, like something in transition, or just a little dump off pass off a drive, something like that gets him going. Get him to his sweet spots. That little shot he's been taking midway in the paint, that kind of semi post up move, that's been working really well for him post All-Star break. If they can get him just 1 or 2 of those good looks, they might be able to get him going. And if you do that, then even though the Pacers are a slower momentum team in terms of the pace they like to play at, you can probably get something going and put a little distance between them, because I do think Dallas is a better team than Indiana. But go ahead.
I think, and having Courtney Lee in there, we were just talking off air how you don't see him forever, but he's like the consummate professional. He comes in a pinch and he can do multiple things, and you can see where I think he'll be a good addition, even with you got some guys out. It's good to be able to play him because he can do a lot of things for your team. I mean, he can score, he can rebound, he can pass, he can defend. And I think that's one of the good things. We were talking about the depth, but that's a good depth right there as far as the guard position, because they seem to have, at least the Mavs do have guards that they can bring off the bench if people have went down. So that's been a saving grace. And I think that's one of the reasons why they picked up Gilchrist, because of the depth issues, and they needed another perimeter defender. So when they get ready for these playoffs, man, you were talking about that. You load up with some defensive guys with Willie Cauley-Stein, and then you get Gilchrist, and then you see what those guys can add when you get to the playoffs. So see what they can do. So I like those additions as far as the defense. And we know Gilchrist doesn't obviously add a lot of offense, and Stein is not that big offensive guy, but I would love to see what they can add defensively down the line against these other teams.
Absolutely. I mean, they can definitely add something to this team, and I think that they both work great in small doses. MKG, because of his offensive liabilities, and yes, you called out Willie Cauley-Stein has those as well. You can't play them big minutes most nights, but you can find a little something with that. Willie Cauley-Stein can still give you some rim protection in the second unit. Obviously, with Maxey and KP, you have 2 phenomenal shot blockers in that regard. The last couple games, Dallas has been blocking. I think in both games they have more than 10 blocks in each. Like it was like 13 and 14 or something like that, respectively. That's just off the top of my head. So I can, someone feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that. But for this first half, as it's pointed out, no blocks in the first half for Dallas. So there's a drop off there for this particular game where that's not the case. But with guys like that, you can certainly shore up defensively the second unit, even if neither of them gives you a whole lot offensively. Depth on this team is pretty good. I do have some questions, obviously. We need to see what Brunson looks like when he comes back because a torn rotator cuff, or excuse me, it's a labrum, not a rotator cuff, it's problematic, and it's going to require off-season surgery. So I'll be curious to see how he comes back from that, because even though he's been inconsistent at times this year, I think he can bring a lot of steadiness to that second unit and to kind of help take some of that burden off of Luka, who's dealing with his own kind of injuries right now. He's banged up. There's no question about that, whether it's the thumb or the right ankle. He's not fully himself at the moment. And so you need that extra helping hand. And KP and Tim Hardaway scoring, Seth Curry scoring has definitely helped with that regard. But your second unit some nights can be very low on the scoring end right now because of issues like that. When Curry is starting, you don't got a lot of punch coming off the bench, and that is not the typical identity of this team.
Well, let me ask you this. If you see when Curry does start, do you think Curry is better off the bench, or do you think he's a better starting role?
I think he works better as a starter. If you look at his previous stint in Dallas, when they moved him into the starting lineup, that's when you saw the explosion from him. I know he hasn't had a lot of consistent starting this season, but really him stepping into that role in the last month or so, when he was shot I think through February 59% from three, something astronomical, like the highest single month percentage in NBA history, when I forget what the minimum number of attempts was, but just mind-boggling production in that regard. And this month, prior to his ankle injury, was shooting 52%. So he was off to another very good start. So I think he's better suited being in the starting lineup, but we know for sure with Tim Hardaway Jr. in most lineups, Hardaway Jr. really struggled coming off the bench for this team, has been much better as a starter. And so I think the better answer is to have Hardaway in your lineup. Some nights you'll have to start them both, but have Hardaway in your starting lineup and Curry coming off the bench, I think, is a best formula most nights, probably.
Yeah, I would go with that. Remember I told you Hardaway was my guy in the very beginning of the season. I told you that would need to be that third option. I thought he could be, and I told you I thought he'd be around that 15-point score. I think he's around now, but his shooting percentage has gone up a little bit, but he's so damn up and down. I mean, look, even in this game, I think somebody pointed out that he shot 36%. I don't know if it was just Hardaway.
Yeah.
But he's so damn up and down. That's what just bothers me about him sometimes, because when he's hot, man, the team is so much better. You know what I'm saying? But when he gets in them streaks where he gets the 3 of 13s, 2 of 12s, it's kind of maddening. Just kind of feel like it throws the kind of offense out of the whack, because how he takes ill-advised shots at times.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And yes, for those pointing out in the comments, the second half is back on now. If you want, just take the audio from us and consider it a game companion, because we're still going to be talking a little bit on what's happening in the game as well. So Dallas bringing up the ball, Luka with it, down 57-52. Step back three, go figure. Splash. There you go. 2-point game. See, we can juggle both. But yes, this is a very good point with Dallas. They are a little streaky at times. Curry obviously had his up and downs, but we've seen with Hardaway Jr. He has been much better this year than I really expected him to be for this team. I thought that Hardaway Jr. After about a month of the season, I was kind of not necessarily ready to 100% write him off, but I was basically like, there's no reason that he should be getting the kind of leash that he's had. Now, Ennie was actually right about that. Ennie actually called out that he would find his rhythm eventually. And all it took, apparently, was moving him to the starting lineup, because...
I told you that, though, remember?
Yeah.
I ain't claiming the fame now. I ain't saying I'm not claiming the fame, but I was telling you, beginning of the season, I was like, that could be the third guy. We already knew KP and Luka.
Yep.
I said that could be the third guy in that lineup. And it just seems like his attitude is better when he's a starter. You get what I'm saying? His attitude is better. He feels more that what he can really do on the team. And he's been that third scorer, because that's what's been key. We needed third scorer. We needed that third scorer on the team. And he's been doing that. He just got to be consistent. And like I said, we need those guys who we picked up midseason for that defense. They're really going to need to step up. They're going to need to do that. Gilchrist, like I say, can guard multiple positions. So can Willie Cauley-Stein. I like that. and they're going to need to really show that when they get some minutes. So it's going to be interesting to see how Rick kind of juggles their minutes compared to what the guys that he already has and how he kind of incorporates those guys.
No, absolutely. And right on cue, Hardaway cut it to 1 point with a 3-pointer. So it was 59-58. Now it's 61-58. So hopefully he gets going a little bit here. But yeah, this team has the ability when it plays up to par to beat anybody. And there's a Luka 3. Nope. This team has the ability to beat anybody if they play up to par. But I think the kind of construct of this team, it's a lot of nice role players, not really anyone who's by themselves special.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a Luka and a KP, guys who are, when they're playing up to tier, like you've seen KP as he's elevated in the last month or so, when you have those two doing that, you have a 1 and a 1A, and everyone else can just take a little bit of a step up over their usual level. And once you have that cumulatively, then you're a nightmare for other teams.
Mm-hmm.
Here's something here. KP's last 5 games, 30 points per game, 12.2 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 3.6 blocks, 49.5% from the field, 42.6% from beyond the arc. If you want to expand that to going back to the end of January, 27.7 points per game, 11 boards, 2.5 assists, 2.4 blocks, 49.8 field goals, and 39.5 from beyond the arc. The dude, at this point, it's not just like a hot streak necessarily. A hot streak can last, a couple weeks or something like that. But at this point, when you're looking at more than a month of data, then it starts to kind of tell you like, okay, this looks indicative of who this guy is.
That's why he's the unicorn.
Yep.
You feel me? I mean, that's why he got drafted out, and that's why everybody was saying what they were saying about him when he came out. Because nobody had seen that 7'3" and would do it that size, what he can do. And now you're starting to see him get that gel because people were wondering, well, how come when Luka and KP together, Luka goes off and KP struggles, and then when Luka ain't in the lineup getting hurt, KP goes nuts. You know what I'm saying? We've been waiting for them both to kind of mesh and both be on the same playing field as far as points, rebounds, and assists, because those two guys are going, like you said, those are the guys.
Yeah.
Those are the guys. Now you just need everybody else to fill in. You just need somebody who can be a rebounder, a shot blocker, need somebody who can make the three-point shooter. Now you just need those role guys that are going to fill in because we know who the two guys are. They just need to make sure they're on their game because we're going to need them in the stretch run. But like you said, KP, NBA, player of the week, averaging over 30 points, going nutty, and it's good to see. Now, he still want to get his field goal percentage up. We definitely want to see that with that size. But like you said, he's got a nice little inside, that little turnaround move, and it looks like it's starting to come to him. He's getting a little more comfortable. Get him on the sweet spot. I like seeing him get the ball early and scoring early because when he gets involved early, that's when he has really nice games.
Yeah. Yeah, and Dallas struggling here a little bit. They're down 67-60, timeout called, so we're in a commercial break now. Struggles continuing here, it looks like at the start of the second half for KP, a turnover there. Maxey struggling a little bit as well, but we'll see. Hopefully they can make some adjustments. OKC did win, so there's one of the teams that we were talking about with how log jam that is there in the middle of the Western Conference, who doesn't move down because as the trend has continued basically the past several weeks, if Dallas wins a game, which that's still to be seen here tonight, if Dallas wins, OKC by rule must also win. They don't make up ground with OKC, it seems like, in the last couple weeks. But yeah, it's I'm starting to kind of wonder. We haven't really had this conversation on the channel or us, obviously. Maxey, since the All-Star break, his 3-point shot, which was so nice before the All-Star break, has not been nearly as effective in post All-Star break from 3. Those corners are usually his bread and butter, and they're not serving him as well for a fair stretch of time now. Let's see. Yeah, I'll be curious to see, because one big difference with this team compared to previously, the summer, we didn't know what these two would look like, and until about a month ago, KP with where he was, there were a lot of questions on, okay, is he going to get back to that form we saw with the Knicks? Is it just going to take more time? The answer to that, obviously, looks like, thankfully, assuming he can stay healthy now, the move to the 5 for him was huge. Even though he was reluctant to do it, it definitely unlocked his ability and his potential a little bit more for us. So now at this point, we know what we have, and we're going to have cap space. They're going to look to bring back Hardaway Jr. on a new long-term deal. They've got Seth Curry for 3 more years after this year at $8 million a year. That's crazy good value. And hey, they were able to build up Dorian Finney-Smith as well. He's making like $4 million a year. Like, they got crazy good value for some of their role players, and that's why this team does. Even though Hardaway Jr. is like 20 million or 21 right now, you can afford that in this case because you have so many other vital guys on your team on very, very reasonable contracts. So you can actually go afford to get one of those bigger fish. When I say bigger fish, I don't mean necessarily a superstar, just a guy that's a quality, very good addition to your team. You can go get one of those guys this summer now because now you have real enticing visual evidence of what the KP Luka tandem looks like.
Right. And I don't want them to mess any. That's their core. Them two are the guys. So you don't need to bring in that third guy that's going to be coming in like, almost superstarish. They don't need that. We already got the stars. Like you said, a good, solid additional player. There's tons of names out there, but a versatile guy. I like a small forward that could, like we have a Gilchrist, but I want somebody who can, like a Gallinari, who can score for you, hit the outside shot, have good size, and can defend for you. You have something like that can kind of blend with them two. I think that's when you have the team to go on to sky with the limit because you already got a good set of good reserve players. I think they got a good set of reserve players. I think they still missing that one guy.
Yeah, no, I agree. They're not complete there now, and I think that's why ultimately Dallas largely stood pat. I mean, they didn't make any moves at the trade deadline. They got involved in a couple moves that would have been nice additions, but nothing spectacular. As Luka, KP drives for the dunk, so a couple baskets back-to-back for KP. Maybe that can get something going a little bit. But, Dallas, they didn't want to invest. They didn't want to mortgage the future, as you were kind of alluding to, at the trade deadline. So even though they were involved in a couple different conversations, they were interested in bringing in, we know Danny Green was one of those guys that ended up not resulting. And, man, I have a hard time seeing the Wiggins thing as a plausible thing. I know that was discussed about. I know I even texted you about it. Like, dude, this is a weird thing that we're hearing. Like, it almost doesn't make sense,
Yeah, he's not a fit.
Yeah.
We needed somebody who could hit that. Because Luka, we know Luka likes to dominate the ball. He's the guy with the ball in his hand, and he's better when he can go on a fast break, kick it back out, and he's got them shooters.
Yep.
Wiggins is not a guy that you could kick it back out to and shoot it, and I'm glad that didn't happen. I'm glad they didn't go out there and do a Wiggins thing. That made me feel a lot better because I just feel like that would be counterproductive to the team. We need somebody, if you're going to be a third scorer with the team, you got to be able to shoot the ball. That's got to happen more than anything else. You have to be able to have shooters around Luka.
Yep. No, I agree wholeheartedly. His vision is fantastic. In this regard, and that opens up things a lot. That's why I said Seth Curry coming back to this team was so big, even though he struggled for a good part of the year, the last month and a half now from what we've seen from him. Hopefully he doesn't miss too much time with the ankle. Hopefully he's good to go. But that's a huge addition to have a weapon like that because I in the previous stream, I kind of likened it to when the Mavericks in 2011 beat the Lakers in the second round. The Lakers were a better team than the Mavericks that year, probably. And when they matched up throughout the year, I think LA won 3 of the 4, and they humiliated Dallas late in the year to secure the 2 seed. Mm-hmm. And what happened in that series was Dallas's shooters just caught fire. It didn't matter. LA knew exactly what Dallas wanted to do, knew how to game plan for them. But at the end of the day, it came down to, can Dallas's shooters make the shots they have to make throughout the series? And they did. In the Mother's Day Massacre game, you have Jason Terry and Peja Stojakovic combined to go 14 of 15 from 3. You can't do anything to stop that if you're the other team. It doesn't matter how schematically you try and do it when Jason Terry and Peja, of all people, who at that point of his career literally didn't play for another team after us, when those guys are doing that damage to you, there's nothing you can do. And you have a couple of those guys who are just flamethrowers on this team that if you catch them in a series and they're on, God help you if you're the other team. Because if they're on and Luka and KP look like they're supposed to look, Dallas can go toe-to-toe with anybody. And, we talked about the Clippers not being an ideal matchup. There's not many teams I would write in as a real concern for me looking at this team. But we'll have to see, man. I mean, we have to see what they're able to bring in and what they can do. But they have holes to fill for sure. But I like that they didn't mortgage the future going for it all right now, because you got a 24-year-old and a 21-year-old as of like a week ago or 2 weeks ago at this point, whatever. It wouldn't make sense to take on a huge dollar contract and go for it, like all chips to the middle now when you're at this stage of this thing. You got KP 4 more years after this year.
Yeah, and you don't need to do it because you're still building your team. You're still young. You're still trying to formulate your team. You don't need to mortgage things right now because you're still building for the future. You're not there yet. You can tell the Mavs are not there yet, but we're building for the future, and you got 2 cornerstone key players now. Yep. Don't jump out there because it sounds all good and it looks all good, and with the names. People jump out there with the names. It's not, that's because it's a name doesn't mean it's going to work. You got to have that chemistry, and it's got to be a right fit. And if you jump out there and you get the wrong fit, and now you got that contract, now you got to deal with all the extra stuff now with the contract and money and possibly unloading it and draft pick. You know what I'm saying? Do what they did. They held fast, which was good. You still are in a good position with this playoff run. And then, like I said, see what happens with this team, and then in the offseason, look and see, okay, well, this is what we need to do right here. But right now, this is what it is. You got your 2 stars. The bench players are really those bench players are really going to have to step up. And Hardaway Jr. is going to have to be big toward the end of the year.
Yeah. My God, that KP block was nasty. Just swatted Sabonis on that.
Sabonis been working him. He got a double-double already.
Sabonis is a very good player. Before he finally got his new deal worked out with Indy to stay there, I was very much interested in doing anything possible to get that guy, because that dude, he was in the 6-man running last year. He is a vital part of that team.
And he's young.
Yep. Yeah, it's only his third year.
21? Yeah, he's only like 21 or 22.
Yep. He was with OKC as a rookie. He was part of the Paul George trade.
Exactly. And that was the best thing they could do was Indiana getting him. But his dad was good.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? So I know his dad was good. So, hey, you going to be good too.
Yep. Yeah, one thing that drives me crazy is we talk again about kind of that OKC win over Boston. It was a 1-point win. It marks, I see on Twitter here, the 15th game this year OKC has won in a single possession game. That leads the league. That's a Chris Paul effect right there. That's a guy who, even if he's had a great year this year, he's bounced back, but even if he's a little older for a point guard and undersized and in a little bit of a decline from where he was a couple of years ago, that's just veteran leadership. And that's what we had with Jason Kidd, for instance. You just have a floor general like that who just knows how to manage the game well enough. There you go, Maxey, for things to work out. 73-71 Pacers with the ball. Dallas just scored off of Maxey's, I think, first bucket of the game.
Now, love, I think Will Peters says Harrison Barnes, Andrew Wiggins type player would be perfect. Now I wouldn't mind Harrison Barnes being around.
Nah. Harrison Barnes specifically? No, not for me.
Not you?
No, I just don't think Harrison fit here. Yeah. Like, he's too ball dominant. He's an ISO guy because that's what we made him for 3 years.
That's true.
And that's not what we need. We need 3-and-D type guys.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, no disrespect to him. He was the perfect representative for like our organization for that stretch.
He's ball dominant.
Yes.
He's an ISO guy.
Yes. And at least he was here, especially. I know he only had not even
He's an ISO. He's an ISO guy, period. Because even when he was at Golden State, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was the ISO type player.
Holy crap, that Luka 3. Luka just made a 1-3 from the logo.
That's crazy. That dude is ridiculous, dog. People don't know how good he is. And what is he? What was the stat? He already beat Jason Kidd in triple doubles.
Yeah, he's
played half the games.
Wow. Yeah, not even. Kidd took 500 games.
500.
Or excuse me, I think Kidd made his 21st triple double on like game 486 of his Mavericks career, and Luka did it on game 119.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
that's why I still got to be the point guard, though. I mean, you just got to continue to get other players to build around him, but he's got to stay at the point.
Yep.
Because he just got to stay at the point. Yes, you can release him a little bit off the ball, so because the injury, being you were talking about that, give him some time off the ball, and that's where Brunson comes in. That's why you want him to get better. That was a big injury because I liked him coming off the bench to be able to give Luka off the ball and things of that nature. But Luka's your point guard.
Yeah. No,
Period.
I agree 100%. And we were talking earlier before we jumped on live here. I'm kind of wondering a little bit with his left hand being like it is, right? He had to get x-rays again after the game the other day. I'm wondering if they should maybe try to have him play off the ball just a little bit more than usual, because in some cases he's had trouble going left with his hand right now. And teams are being very, very physical with him. So I am kind of questioning if maybe, and that's where you really miss a Brunson, right? Especially now
Right.
tonight, also Curry.
Yes.
Like you
Yes.
miss those kind of guys that can create their own shot, or as Curry showed, he could actually be a decent combo guard for us in his previous stint. And he's had little flashes here and there this year of the same kind of play creation for other guys. But I really wonder if that's what they need to do a little bit more with Luka. Although the way he's playing tonight, no need to do it tonight, but maybe in general.
31.7 boards, 6 assists, man. He's just a running triple-double, dog.
Yep. Let's see. So, okay. So Luka passed Kidd on game 123 as a Maverick. And 119, he tied him.
Okay. That's crazy. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, we just looking at his career, and it ain't even wow.
He's just barely started.
He's wow. I mean, this is crazy because, I mean, I've seen a lot of players. I've been watching basketball since the 70s. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen all these guys out there. You know, I've seen the Magics and the Birds and the Jordans and the McGrady's and the Bryants. I've seen them all. And the way this kid is coming, especially with being a foreign player and getting these numbers at the point, I mean, dog, and he is just now, turned 21?
Yeah, he just turned 21 February 28th.
Can you imagine him at 25?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why you don't mortgage the future,
him at 25,
right? Him
dog?
at 25, KP at 28.
Are you serious?
Like, you guys remember Dirk was at his absolute best and won it all at age 33, right?
Dog, right. Are you serious?
Yeah.
4 more years of him getting what? He's what?
Yep. No, it's crazy how high the ceiling looks for him. And I mean, that's the thing too. Like, I was talking with somebody the other day, you know, just with KP rolling like he's been rolling. It's crazy that guy was available, right? It's an unprecedented development for a guy, because he never even got onto his second contract with the Knicks. That you have a former All-Star, a guy that unique and talented, not even end up with a second contract with the team that drafted him. That doesn't happen.
Right.
Like, you don't have that guy come available unless it's this perfect storm situation with the injury, with his bad blood with the front management, with the revolving door of head coaches and all of that. You just don't have that scenario open up. And I mean, what Anthony Davis did going from the Pelicans to LA, that was unprecedented in its own right too. But KP's one-ups that even. I mean, just in the sense that, like, in Anthony Davis' thing, he didn't even finish his second contract, right?
Right.
So he didn't finish his second contract. That was unprecedented. KP didn't even get the first mega deal. So his first big money is here in Dallas. And I think there's a nice half-court alley-oop from Luka to DeLon Wright.
No.
77 or 79, 77 Pacers with the ball. But yeah, it's just crazy how he came available in this way. Like, you look at this and you just don't understand how you end up with two guys like this, where you have a 1 and a 1A at this stage of their careers, and just how drastically different this team looks as a result of that compared to where we were, you know, end of not last year, the year before, you know?
Totally different.
With DSJ.
Looked like a team with no hope.
Yeah. DSJ was our big thing that we were hoping could be something. And, man, he's got to get out of New York because he's never going to have a chance there. But
yeah. I mean, but you know what? He had to work on his game. You remember when we talked about as soon as Luka came to the team with him, you knew it wasn't going to work because he wasn't going to be able to. Luka was too ball dominant. He was going to have to move DSG off the ball, and he can't shoot.
Right. Yeah, and, you know, by really before even the All-Star break, I think Rick had already kind of made up his mind that, like, okay, I have DSJ and I'll use him, but he's not like the face of this thing.
No,
I'm
going to
make him a, you know, a great defender and a guy that can slash to the rim. That was really what he envisioned for him. And
that's the only role you could do with him, though.
Yep. And understandably, DSJ was not real thrilled with that option because he's like,
Right.
dude, I was given the keys of the franchise last year. What happened?
Well,
So
Luka came in when he knew it. He had to see it. Like there's some players, even though you might get mad, you got to see it and know it. And we all knew as soon as Luka got there, it was a wrap.
Yep. No, it definitely changed the stage of this team moving forward. Like the entire window belief of where this team was going drastically shifted once that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hope.
I'll be real interested to see what this team can do moving forward. Corner 3 here, tie game at 80.
Isaiah McIntosh asked me, he said, "Hold up, James, how are you?" I'm 47 years old. Yes, I've been watching late 70s. I was watching them late 70s, early 80s. I watched all that intently, all of it. So college basketball, pro, all of it. So so I've seen a lot of guys come through in college and the NBA, and just to see this guy come out on the international end and to do what he's doing, and then you pair him with KP. Like I said, I'm just waiting for that one more player. Waiting for that one more player.
Yep, absolutely. I mean that's what this team needs. We need to build with the core and the foundation of what we have. But yeah, they're going to be looking to make something happen. I think they're going to be fairly aggressive this summer, getting something done as Luka ties it up again. He's getting feisty. He's got 33, 7 and 7 now. He's looking for an A1 call, didn't get it, and he's staring down the ref. Hopefully he doesn't get a technical. He's been a little prone to that lately.
Mm-hmm. He wants them calls, man. He said, "Hold up, I'm Luka, dog. You know who I am? I'm Luka."
Yeah.
I'm Luka Legend, like you said. I'm Luka Legend.
I tried coining that term, man, and I've seen
hard.
ESPN swipe it once or twice. I'm just like, you sons of bitches.
Yeah, you know that's what they don't ever say that because they sitting there. They got their editors out there lurking and watching all the underground. See what they say. See what they say, so we can take it because ain't nobody gonna listen to them.
Yep. Let's see here. So 4 points there from the Pacers. Last possession of the third quarter here. Let's see, Luka is not in the game right now. Nope, he's off ball. And a bucket from Hardaway on the drive. So 1 second left. Dallas cuts it to a 1-possession game. Very nice. Well, Hardaway got going a little bit there. KP had a couple buckets, but it was largely the Luka show for the third quarter.
Yeah, Hardaway cooking up. He got 18 points now, cooking it up a little bit. That's what he does, though. That's what Hardaway does. He can be super cold 1 minute, and he can go on a barrage.
Yep, indeed. Let's see here. I'm just checking over the full stat sheet here. Yeah, Luka 33, 7 and 7 on 12 of 20 shooting, 4 of 10 on 3, 5 of 8 at the line. He's gotten a little shaky again at the foul line. He's not playing good defense right now in this game. I've seen a couple possessions where he just looks like he's not really, he's not contesting. I think he's getting a little frustrated and letting it bother him. Hardaway with 18 now, so there you go. 18 points on 6 of 14 shooting, 4 of 8 from 3, so that's where he got going. Porzingis, 8 and 2. Need more from him, but at least he got going a little bit there. 6 points in the quarter. And nothing else too notable. Jackson has 7 off the bench. Let's see here. For the Pacers, they got 4 guys in double digits. They got Sabonis with 18 and 15. Good Lord, he's destroying us in that regard.
Miles Turner got a double-double, too.
Miles Turner, yep, and he just had a great possession against Luka there defensively a moment ago. 16 and 10 for him. You got 14 and 6 from Warren. Oladipo's not doing much, even though he was a starter in this game again. 8, 2, and 6, but he's coming off the
That's what I'm saying. I think he's still got to get his body back together, especially playing ball on that knee all the time.
Yep.
That's going to take a little bit of time to come back from, especially when you're an athlete like him.
Yep. And then you got off the bench for the Pacers, McConnell with 12 as well. So, yeah, Indiana is a pretty well-rounded team in the East. Let me see where they currently are in the standings. They're the 5 seed in the East, so this is basically pretty evenly matched up. 38 and 25 is their record.
Here. This is playoff ball right here.
Yep. They're 38 and 25. We are 39 and 25, so that tells you it is a pretty even matchup in that regard. But for Dallas, you're missing we already talked about the main guys that they're missing, but we didn't even mention, we still don't have Dorian Finney-Smith in this game.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he's out with the hip. So you're missing.
And that's big.
You're missing
3 guys.
Yeah, Dorian Finney-Smith, Seth Curry, and Jalen Brunson all out for Dallas right now. That is significant. Let's see. Yep, that's who all's missing there. How many minutes has MKG
Gilchrist,
gotten?
I mean, he's not playing either today, is he? Or
Yeah,
is he
no
still out?
MKG. I don't even see him listed in, so he must not be available right now.
Yeah, because I know they had him due to an illness. So,
well, there you go. Let's see. Would you sign Dennis if he was a free agent? No, he doesn't fit this team, honestly.
Nope.
I mean, I want nothing but the best for Dennis. I think he could be a quality player, not a star, but a quality player somewhere. But I don't think the fit is here with Dallas. He doesn't fit what we were talking about in terms of the type of player we need.
No, he's got to be able to score. He's got to be able to shoot.
Yeah.
Like you said, you got to be able to. Anybody who comes to the Mavericks has got to be able to shoot the ball around Luka.
Yep. Agreed. And, that's been one of the big developments this year for Dallas is a big part of the three-point shooting. Now, it helps that Luka gets them such great looks and knows how to get them to their spots. But you have Dorian Finney-Smith shooting by far the best three-point percentage of his career. Maxey, even though he's been on a dip, as I said earlier, since the All-Star break, is shooting the best percentage of his career as well. Powell, before he got hurt, wasn't really doing that, but his pick-and-roll game was in like the 98th percentile or something crazy in the NBA this year. So that was his fit for the team. But, that's the kind of guy you need. You need someone that can knock down those kind of shots. And if you can get that percentage out of Dorian Finney-Smith, who can't create his own shot in that regard, imagine what you could do with an actual marksman out there.
Right.
Imagine, now it's not going to happen, but imagine like a Bradley Beal on this team, how ridiculously good that looks.
Man, him as a starting two guard, woo-wee.
Yep. Now
you're cooking.
That would shake up the Tim Hardaway thing, though.
It would shake it up.
Because it'd be a trade, so you'd have to send him surely in it. And you've seen Hardaway Jr. off the bench and how different that looks.
Yeah, he couldn't do it, yeah.
And for salary matching, you probably have to do that anyway. Again, it doesn't matter. It's a hypothetical that doesn't mean anything. I just meant more so
That'd be nasty,
kind
though.
of player, that kind of production in three-point shooting.
That's the play. That right there, ooh, wow. That just gets me excited.
that is the proverbial
Bradley
game
Beal,
changer.
Ooh-wee. My gosh.
Salute to Gleb continuing to plug the links there for us.
There's sir.
Apple Podcast link. We also got a Spotify one and Google Play Store on there as well, somewhere in all that mix. Let's see. Let's take a few questions on here before we wrap up this stream. We're not going to run the full fourth quarter here, but I got a little bit of time before I got to jump on this paper. So we'll run some questions here. So in the comments, hit us up with your Mavs questions for myself or James, or we'll both answer. Doesn't matter. And we'll roll from there for the next, 5 minutes or so, 5-10 minutes.
Yep. And like I said, Hardaway Jr., he was like 6 of 14 last I saw. Need them points from him.
Yep.
Like I said, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised, but Indiana, like you said, they're a team that when you think of Indiana right now, you're like, who's on Indiana? But you know what? They're a steady team. They got Miles Turner, Sabonis. Those are two big men that are good together. Then they just got back Oladipo. So they're a sneaky team. So this is, like I said, playoff basketball at its best.
Yep. Dallas takes the lead 94-93 on a Justin Jackson 3. Jax 44 Jax. I never quite figured out how I wanted to make his nickname roll. But absolutely. That's something that needs to be figured out. Let's see here. I see a question from Gle. How much would we extend Tim Hardaway Jr. for? I'll go first, and I'll let you answer after that, and then we'll start alternating on these. I would say for Hardaway Jr., you probably want him about where he's at money-wise right now, right? You don't want to that's a fair number for the value he brings in. If you're getting something in the 20 to 22 range per year, because I do think he's shown that he's worthy of that for the role he fills on this team.
That's crazy, $20 million a year in basketball.
But you got to think as well about how the cap has extended. You got guys making $40 million at this point.
That's what I'm saying, but it's just crazy. You know what I mean? Because in my heart, like $20 million for him.
Yeah, but that's what it is. I would say if you're keeping him around 20, you're doing pretty good work. If you get now, I don't know how many years they're gonna go. He's 27 years old. I actually thought previously he was older than that. I thought he was like 29 or something.
Because he looks older.
Yeah, I would say if you get him on like a 4-year deal for about, something like 19 would be like, holy crap, that's a good value deal. But if you get him between 19 and 22, I would say at that range, because it's still a contract you could move if you had to. And I think that locks him up, makes him happy, and it kind of solidifies his role, which I think for a guy like him, which you said kind of frustrated coming off the bench early in the year. Like, I know the game I went to in the locker room, he'd had a particularly bad game, but he seemed not demonstrative like towards his teammates, just incredibly frustrated and not that happy talking with the media and all that, And then since then, he's moved into the starting lineup, and you've kind of seen a 180 from him. So I think if he gets his long-term security and that money, I think he'll be a better version of himself moving forward.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with you on that. Like I said, he's a guy that, even when I say 20 million with him, I'm like, whoa, because I think he's a good, solid player. And I wouldn't go more than 20, really 21, nothing more than that with him. And because I feel like he's not going to be, he's one of them guys that's kind of like a Cordy Lee, that he's just always tradable. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's a guy that you can always see him on 5, 6, 7, 8 teams, because he does nothing great and he's always expendable. So that's why I said they got to get somebody else. So if you extend him, not extending for a lot, maybe always upgrade for him. He's always going to be in trade talk. So I don't think he's even going to be with the team long term, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a possibility of that for sure. By the way, just because it brings me glee, the Magic are beating the Rockets 115-90 in Houston.
Nice.
7 minutes left. Brings a smile to my face to see that, because that's if that happens that way, their second losing streak of at least 4 games this year. 44 jacks, skip pass, corner Hardaway 3. Buckets! 98.
There it is.
97-95 Dallas. Dallas getting some mojo going with a 3-point shot. That's real good timing. Hardaway now up to 24 points. So there you go.
He gets cooking. That's what he does.
Let's see here. Let me find another question. Mavs won't have a lottery pick this year, correct? That is very correct. Assuming they are a playoff team, they will not have a lottery pick. You got to miss the playoffs or have traded with someone to get their lottery pick, basically, to get a lottery pick. So nothing for Dallas this year. We do have our first rounder this year, but it won't be a lottery pick, assuming we make the playoffs as we expect to. And frankly, as it would be an utter shock not to at this point. I mean, we're like 10 games up above the 9 seed at this point. Good deed. All right. Dallas with the ball. Up to 8.5 minutes left. Hardaway brings it up. He's looking for a shot. Ooh, ugly pass. Turnover. I don't know what he was looking at. He looked like he was looking for a shot and then suddenly thought, I can get this guy over here.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think there's a question that says, SM Rays 30, they say, do you think the Mavs can make it to a fourth place playoff spot in the Western Conference?
4 seed. Do I think the Mavericks can get the 4 seed? It's within reach, certainly. I think the 4 seed is only a game or 2 ahead of us. Like, again, it's a logjam.
Yeah,
but
like around 2.5 games.
Yeah, 2.5 games. That's doable. But would I say it's super likely? No, because the team there in that case, which I got nice bucket there answer from Dallas to go back ahead, seesaw back ahead. The team at the 4 seed right now, who is that? I don't have it in front of me.
That is the Utah Jazz.
Right. Yeah, you know what? I think you could potentially catch Utah, but regardless, even if you are the 4 seed, it doesn't matter because you'd be playing Utah anyway, right? It's 4 versus 5. So
4 and 5, yeah.
If that's your matchup, all that matters at that point is home versus road. And even though we have won 4 straight at home going into this game, we don't know a whole lot about how this team will compete at home in the postseason, because we know this year they have been much more of a road team.
Better on the road than home.
That's why I've been calling them Road Warriors all year. Cheap plug for my merch. But yeah, go ahead, hit that merch link down there. But yes, they've been much better on the road. Now, Salt Lake is no joke for an environment to go into, but I do have a pretty good feeling that they could really push the Jazz. I will say this. as important as KP is for us, he really, really struggles against Gobert. Like rebounding, the roughly 10 boards a game he gives you, I think it's like 9.5 or 6 right now he gives you per game. That will not be there against the Jazz. He's much more in the area of his New York days where he's getting like 4 to 6 boards against Gobert. And that's just, I think, the physicality of it is still not quite to his liking, and one of those guys he doesn't match up great with. But offensively, he can still get you those points against them. So that's where it would be interesting to see, could Dallas get enough collective rebounding to offset that? Let's see. The Mavs will be the 5th seed, 4th seed. Aram says that he's already predicted this matchup, so there you go.
Who's that? The Mavs and Utah?
Actually, you know what? He's got Denver here.
Denver.
He's got Mavs, Denver. Wait, Denver's 2 seed, so you got Mavericks finishing as the
6th seed.
6. Well, no, it'd be the 3 seed.
3 seed.
3 seed would be what Denver would be, and we would be the 6. Yeah.
Right. We move up to the 6th seed over Houston.
Yeah. Let's see. Am I ready for Luka to channel his inner Dirk and upset the Clips? Yeah, I would definitely be ready for that, but I don't even know that Dirk ever pulled something that ridiculous off. I mean, obviously you got the title, but I just meant like in terms of like a monster playoff upset.
He would have to have one of those 33, 14, 15, 33, 14, 13 averages, those series.
Yeah, for sure.
He'd have to be going nutso the whole series.
Luka in the paint gets the basket. Dallas up 104-100, 5:45 left.
There we go.
Not sure what Luka's stat line is here, but that's at least 37 for him that I've seen. But Pacers just keep answering, dude.
35, 7, and 7.
35? Okay. Pacers answer
got
right
26
back.
now.
Victor Oladipo answers with the bucket. 2-point Dallas lead. Hardaway drives with a floater. Bucket. That was a nice floater. This team is tough to beat when they're making their shots, even though they're not a great defensive team. So this is an interesting thing. A conversation I had on the last live stream. People kind of calling out that Dallas isn't a good defensive team and saying like, you know, this is what's going to potentially ultimately sink them. While I agree, I would still say that that's not changing this year. At this point, they're not going to turn a corner and become a great or significant defensive team. At this point, this team is about be as close to average as you can defensively and offensively blow the doors off, because they're like one of the 3 best offenses in the league, as efficient as anyone. And games like this just show you Pacers are a good defensive team. Dallas is blowing the doors off them in the second half. When we jumped on here, we were talking about how Dallas only had, this was right before we went live, we were talking about how Dallas only had 38 points. And we were like, man, this is a really, really slow start because there's like 6 minutes left before half. Now you look at it, 108,
right.
4 minutes left. Now, I know usually they're higher than that in terms of total game production, but you just got to look at how they flip the switch, and that just shows they can blitz pretty much anybody offensively.
And it can get hot quick.
Let's see here. Who do you think the Mavs will go get in free agency? I'll let you take a first stab at that one.
Oh, man. Yeah, I couldn't even tell you, because right now I'd have to see a free agent list. I'm gonna keep it all the way funky. Like, I think they should be in the move for a scoring type forward or a real good, like we were talking about, a Bradley Beal type. Need some the Gallinari type, the Bradley Beal types, the guys that can create their own shot, and they can hit it from 3.
Yep.
I mean, I know you're asking a lot of that, but that's what really needs to happen, because it only makes the team better, because the way KP gets you open, and when he sees that you can really hit that shot, he's really going to get that ball to you, especially on the fast break. You got to just go to your spot, boom, hit it right there. That's why Curry's so valuable. So I think I don't really have the names right now, so I'm not going to sit there and front on people. But I think we need something like that. But Will Peters says Harrison Barnes, Andrew Wiggins type. I backed off that. I asked you about it, but I backed off because I feel like those type players will not fit the system. You don't need a one-on-one ISO type guy. That's not what you don't need, but you do need a guy that can create his own shot and hit that 3.
I agree. A Gallinari would be very interesting. My concern with him is he's 31
Yeah,
and he's been
injuries.
a very injured player throughout his
Injuries.
career. He's having, as well with Chris Paul, a great bounce back year in OKC this year. I would have been interested in him if we had been willing to go an all in, but I think with how good OKC ended up being, and I did not see OKC being this good. I've said this for the record.
Right.
I thought they were going to be a bottom 5 team in the West. I was very wrong about that, and that's like my second team practically, and so that's a double sting for me that I was that wrong. But Gallinari has been very good for them this year. He would fit well here, but I think the money it would take plus the age and how that fits with our window, plus the injury history, gives me pause in that regard. DDP, can you dunk? Not since sophomore year of high school, and even then, I could just barely get it.
Said Burton's.
I maybe accomplished it 3 times in my life.
Will Peter says Montrezl Harrell.
Ooh, Montrezl Harrell. That would be an interesting one. He's a great high-energy guy. He is an undersized front court player, but great motor. Not a lot of offensive game.
We got a question right here. It's a good one. Is it Lucci 7272 asks, what do you think about Kyle Kuzma?
It's an intriguing one for sure. I think the bidding is going to be a little higher.
He's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah, I think the bidding is what puts me out on that. I haven't seen enough.
And I think he's going to get overpriced. I feel like in my heart, somebody's going to overpay for him. Kuzma's good, but I think somebody's going to overpay for him.
Yeah,
and he's not going to be that good. Kind of like how Chandler Parsons, everybody was hyping him. Shout out to Chandler Parsons for everything that happened to him as well, though.
Yeah, his career is probably over.
Yeah, but everybody was kind of hyping him. But when he went and got the money, was this so-so? I think that's what he is as well.
Yeah, no, I think so. I definitely think that Kuzma, for what the price and bidding will probably be, because say what you want, between his age and the fact that he's coming out of LA, there has been extra attention afforded to him, the LeBron thing and the LA thing, than most guys would have in that spot. And so I think he might be kind of like paying sticker price when you don't need to pay sticker price for a guy like that.
You're overpriced. They're going to overpay for him, and I don't think he's going to be that guy.
Yeah. I do think it'd be nice to do something with the front court for sure. As much as we talk about wanting a 3-and-D guy, and that would be great, we have done a pretty good job developing and acquiring guys like that. Like Dorian Finney-Smith was an undrafted free agent. Maxey, undrafted free agent. Seth Curry, now he wasn't undrafted, but obviously the best years of his career have been here, although he had a good year last year with Portland. Nothing that blew you away, but an effective year. And so you got a bunch of guys like this, reclamation projects like Tim Hardaway Jr. What you need, if you could have like a Dorian Finney-Smith who somehow was a better 3-point shooter, which I'm saying somehow just in terms of like offensive production. Obviously, we know for Dorian Finney-Smith in terms of creating his own shot, that's just not there. But if you had something like that come along, yeah, by all means, look at it, because Dorian Finney-Smith's $4 million a year. You don't want to lose him, but good God, could you imagine a 3-and-D option like that off your bench? But yeah, I think front court is probably where you need the most help, most specifically because now you got Powell coming off an Achilles, and that's going to be a major wild card. We talked about front court help all year between Maxey and Powell, and point production and how inconsistent that can be, and rebounding as well between those two guys playing your 5 basically. Yeah, it's going to stay questionable, and Powell's going to be out, probably a full year, and it's going to take him then probably another year to get back right. And just because he started a new contract this year with us, just signed last summer, a new deal, you're going to be sitting and waiting for that for a little bit. So you just got to find a little bit of front court help. And that's why I think that's why they went with Willie Cauley-Stein and just said, here's a Band-Aid to put on it. It's not going to stop everything, but it'll slow down a little bit of that impact they're missing. And I think even that has slightly undersold for what I anticipated.
I totally agree with that, especially with the thought of when Powell went out, that was a signing that they kind of had to do to you couldn't go into a playoff, or you're going to probably lose some playoff position by losing Powell because he was a big man, and he was one of the few big men the Mavs had. So if you lost him, you lost a lot.
Yeah.
So that was a kind of a good makeup call for the Mavs, like you said, a Band-Aid. but we're going to see how it goes. I want to see how, he gets, put in and mixed in this lineup, especially down the stretch. I really want to see what he's going to be able to add to the team because he was a low-cost guy, didn't really hurt the Mavericks at all getting him. So I would like to see what they could get out of him in this period of time. And he's still a young kid, okay? So he's not old or anything like that. So I want to see some potential that they can get out of him. I wanted to remember we had talked about I wanted the Tyson Chandler type back in the team. I'm not saying he's that because we know what Tyson Chandler did for the team and just in the league in general.
Yeah.
But we need something of the semblance of that on the defensive end for the Mavericks to really do what they want to do, especially some damage in the playoffs this year.
I think as far as the rim protection, you found that with KP. But, yeah, as far as the cleanup duty, as far as the defensive anchor and just absolute leader of the team, I do think that's a role that they're kind of missing from Tyson. That's why Tyson was the heart of that championship team. And, Dirk was the hero and obviously is gutsy. It's like Dirk was the soul, Tyson was the heart, or flip that however you want. But that's kind of what it felt like with that the combination of those guys and that competitive will was what sold it. We're down to a minute and a half here. It is a 1-point game, so I guess we are running this whole damn fourth quarter after all because this has been a pretty fast-paced fourth quarter. And things are getting physical. Luka's getting really pissy. He needs to be careful not to get a technical here.
He needs to stop doing that because he be getting them faces and stuff, and he be getting that little pouty attitude. And I get it, they're beating you up, but
he's 100% fouled on the play.
yeah. I'm just saying, he get that look and he be staring the refs down. You feel me? And we don't need no technicals right now.
Yeah, that possession blew up, and Luka's walking around. He's pissed off. He's still jawing at a ref. This isn't good. Minute 15, we're up 1, and he's more focused about a missed call. I get it. The replay shows you were clearly hacked, not just fouled. KP with the block on the reverse. And that sets it up there. So Luka bringing it up. We got a minute left. 1-point game. Let's see. Pick and roll here with Hardaway between Luka. Luka to Hardaway. Hardaway drives aggressive all the way to the basket. Passes to KP in the corner. KP step back there. Oh, it's blocked. Miles Turner with the block on a KP 3.
For real?
Yeah. A step back 3, no less. And then Luka intentionally fouls as the ball's crossing half court. Not sure why.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. Trying to see here. But it wasn't a clear path foul. Wow. No, that's clean. Miles Turner, hell of a play on KP. I don't know that KP would have made that, but you obviously had a chance at a rebound in that case. All right, Pacers up top. Pick and roll, pull up Jay, Victor Oladipo, bucket. Pacers out in front, 38 seconds left. He still got that in him.
What we going to do right here?
Yep. Timeout Dallas. Down 1, 110, 109. This guy exciting.
Man, Sabonis went off today, 2017 and 6.
Yep. Let's see. Have more faith, Isaiah. Your name's Isaiah. Have more faith.
I know, right? You got the ultimate faith name.
Let's see. Your name is Dallas Mavs. How are you going to be negative?
Right. You can't close out games. Come on now.
They haven't all year, but you got to see. This is an important growing moment. At the very least, you'll learn from this.
So who shoots this?
Well, you got a chance for a 2-for-1. I probably go. KP hasn't been there offensively in this game, so I probably go Hardaway or Luka. Luka has not been great in the clutch this year in terms of those moments. I probably put it in Luka's hands and try to create something for a spot up for Hardaway. Isaiah says, I've been through too much. We know that feeling. We've been Mavericks fans a long time.
Doom and gloom already. He said, dang, y'all doom and gloom already.
Yeah. I remember the slings and arrows of 2006 followed through 2010 until the title year. I know the pit of despair you speak of where it feels like you can be a good team that never gets over the top. And then obviously the last 3 years prior to Luka getting here were brutal. All right, Luka with a pick and roll. Here comes a KP pick and roll with Luka. Luka's got the ISO up top. Going to go all the way to the basket. Good up and under. Wide open shot in the corner for Courtney Lee. Misses it. Okay. Dallas has to foul. There's the foul. Courtney Lee, good God. The foul he just put on the Pacer guy spun him out, and he just wiped out. That will possibly do it, but that's a hell of a look that you just got for Courtney Lee in the corner. It was a slow developing play, but you got a wide open look for a veteran who's made some plays for you in this. They're going to review this to see if it's a... Oh, that is not a freaking flagrant.
Are they giving him a flagrant?
No, they're going to review it just to see, but that is not a flagrant. The Pacers player is already going down, and yeah, his shoulder... He gets him up high. It's Victor Oladipo. He gets him up high, but it's because the guy's already half fallen down.
Look how close this game is. There's going to be that kind of foul in that, just in a juncture of the game.
If that's a flagrant, that's sinking this game because that's 2 free throws plus the ball. So they go up 3, and then you got to foul them again and put them right back on the line. That would decide it. I like the inventiveness in that play. Again, Courtney Lee's had a couple good games for us in a row. I like the inventiveness. If we don't know where he was in that option, they might have first been looking to get Tim Hardaway something, or just let Luka do something himself, and they might have just developed where, hey, here you go, a wide open look for Courtney Lee. Not going to get a better look than he got here in the corner, and just a little long on it, rimmed out. Yeah, there is a tendency for people to see any loss and immediately blame Rick Carlisle. That gets a little frustrating. I've called out Carlisle stuff when I feel like it's valid. I don't feel like this is valid, so I don't hear them calling a flagrant. So I think it's just a common foul. Oh, Luka got popped in the face again on the Courtney Lee spot up 3.
I wish we had...
he gets the hell beat out of him.
I agree with Dallas Mavs. We said we needed Curry today.
We did. We absolutely needed Curry. And the fire he's been shooting made them both. Okay, a 3-point game, 13.7 seconds. Dallas ball. Timeout, Rick. That is our last timeout. What happened to KP, though, asked Dallas Mavs. Just not a good shooting day. It happens. It's the first bad game he's had post-All-Star break, so I'm not going to sweat it.
He was just player of the week.
Yep. Yeah, and I ran through his stats earlier talking about since the end of January, he's been red hot. So it happens. I'm just going to take it with a grain of salt and move on. Tim Hardaway Jr. is the player of the game for the Fox Sports Southwest, what they're calling. I'd say so. He went over 30, and that's not a guy you usually get quite that much out of.
And he was looking kind of whack earlier today, so yeah.
Yeah. DDP, tell it to me gently. Oh, okay. He's saying he can't watch anymore. Okay, I'll be gentle.
Yeah, be gentle. Take this L.
I'll be gentle. Shit! Hardaway, 12 points in the fourth quarter. That's who you got to go to in this case. Luka's had a great day, but he's going to get all the attention. You need to try and create some kind of open look for Hardaway. Let's see. All right, setting up for the inbound here. Inbounding it at half court. Trying to see who the inbounder is. Looks like Hardaway is inbounding it. Luka bottom corner, KP up near half court. Maxey in the corner. Courtney Lee sets a screen on KP, rolls off. Luka up to the top of the key. Wow, that is a very dangerous place to catch that ball. Fake pick and roll action. Luka gets an open 3.
It's over.
Nope. 5 seconds left, but I think corner 3. Did that? No. Okay, game's over. That was a very confusing ending to that game. Luka is pissed off, staring daggers at someone. I think he wanted another call that he didn't get, but no, the Mavericks lose this game 112-109, snapping a 4-game home win streak. You hate to see it.
Yeah.
At least we can feel despair together.
Yeah, but you just had Houston lost today?
Yeah.
You could have made that up.
No, I know, and that's what I'm saying, man. That was an opportunity. Houston's going to get beat, it looks like. OKC, unfortunately, won, so now they extend that lead. So OKC will leapfrog Houston, I believe, at this point, and that's going to leave Dallas sitting back. So it's they got to figure something out for sure. But this has been something I've been talking about for a little bit. While we don't string a bunch of losses together, we cannot, for the life of us, generate real momentum. Let's see here. So OKC is up to the 5 seed right now. You had a chance to pass to move into a tie with Houston. Tiebreaker wise, they would have had you though, so you still would have been sitting right behind Houston, but statistically tied in the standings. So Dallas sits at the 7. Houston did lose, so they have now lost 4 straight for the second time this year. OKC has won 3 straight, and that's where all that stands. I keep telling people, man, who are really frustrated watching this Mavericks team, I understand that frustration, even putting aside where this team's been in the last 3 or 4 years. What I point to is that first year the Thunder were in OKC, they had Westbrook and Durant. Then the next year they brought in Harden, and they got better, but they were still a very young team who lost a lot of close games because inexperience. Like, the physicality bothered them. They were inexperienced. They'd get into these close games but couldn't execute to save their lives. And then you flash forward a year or two, and they were suddenly closing those games. They learned from those experiences, and as their guys kind of adapted to that adversity, you saw them raise their games to a new level where suddenly they became the perennial contenders. That's where I see Dallas right now, except we're not winning no 23 games this year. We're going to be a playoff team. It's just they have to get better at winning and closing out these close games. Right now,
they're not used to this, though. But they're not used to this. You got to understand, like, this hasn't been a team that's played with each other for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is a team that KP just came. And when did he play last year? He didn't.
No.
You get what I'm saying? So this is all a learning process. Luka was a rookie last year. This is only his second year. KP, this is only he didn't play with the team last year, and he's just playing this year. So it's going to be they're still looking for a full identity of the team. You get what I'm saying? So I think that's one of the things that's going to continue to manifest itself and continue to grow because a lot of these players are new and they're all still getting familiar with each other. Even though this is the season has almost come to an end. When we talk about why are we having this problem with close games, this team is still learning. This isn't an old team. This is a newly formed team. So those things are going to happen. It's called growing pains.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. They will get there. We just got to be a little bit patient. They'll get there. But it is what it is, guys. For now, Dallas is still sitting in the 7 seed slot. We know what they're going to have to face. But we'll see. I mean, it's real close right now between the Nuggets and Denver. If you get Denver, I feel much better about it. But regardless, any experience you get this year is valuable. You put Kobe and Shaq together initially, they got swept.
Right.
Like, people forget that. People just assume Shaq showed up and it was automatic dynasty. Like, you have to go through that adversity and grow together a little bit.
Yep, growing pains.
So we'll wrap the stream here. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. I know some of you might just now be jumping in the stream, seeing the game ended, and you're like, "Yo, what the hell? Stream's ending? We've been here for an hour, guys. Don't know what to tell you." Right. But James, thank you for joining me again. We'll have to do this again soon. Let them know where they can find you.
I don't do the basketball thing, but I eventually will. But you can check out Silver and Blue Nation if you're a Cowboys fan. Definitely jump on there and check us out. What I do over there. And also Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those. Silver and Blue Nation. Like I said, I'm going to rock out my stuff with my guy, DDP, and eventually be doing some basketball too. But if you do like Dallas Cowboys football, there's an alternative to come check and look at.
There you go. But that's going to do it for our time, guys. If you haven't already, please leave a like for the video, subscribe to the Dallas Prospect, buy the shirts on represent.com, and until next time, remember, every legend was once a prospect. Peace.
Peace.